Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers Podcast. I am Jody Grunwald. This week, my guest is Martine Cadet. Martine is the founder and owner of Cadet Media, LLC, a boutique digital media agency supporting small business owners. She is a social media content coach and creator and helps her clients convert viewers into paying clients. She also helps ensure that they never run out of things to say and that they are confident in connecting with their audience by mastering the skill of storytelling on their social platforms. Go to martinecadet.com for more information. Martine grew up in Haiti and speaks Creole and French. She went to a great school, but her parents had to work really hard to put her there because her family's financials were not like everyone else's. She tells a story about walking in the mud one day on her way to school and the impact it had on her life moving forward. At the age of 16, Martine shares a terrible, tragic story of witnessing her father shot and killed in their home right in front of her. She goes on to share how every instance in her life that was a struggle only pushed her further to want to do more to make a positive impact in this world. And truly, this changemaker is doing just that. Her energy is totally contagious. Congratulations to Martine on her new book that is just coming out titled Content to Conversion. On March 24th, please join us for the Today is the Day inaugural International Changemakers Forum titled Challenge Yourself, Disrupt the Status Quo. CNN heroes, TEDx speakers, authors, former FBI agent, executive producer of a TV show, CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and more are sharing their expertise on topics that matter. Thank you to Investors Bank for being the Catalyst for Change sponsor and to the NJBIA for being a scholarship sponsor of the event. Sponsorships are available and can help you expand your reach. Please go to todayisthedayliveit.com to learn more about our keynote speaker, Henry DeCio Jr., and all of the changemakers that will be sharing their expertise with you at this event. To purchase tickets and to learn more, go to todayisthedayliveit.com. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the Today's the Day Changemakers YouTube channel, comment, like, and share. Follow us on Facebook at Today is the Day Live It. The views expressed by all Today is the Day Changemakers podcast guests are their own. Their appearance on the Today is the Day Changemakers podcast does not imply any endorsement of them or any entity that they represent. I hope everyone has a fabulous week. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Today's the Day Changemakers podcast. I am Jody Grunwald, and I interview the most incredible people with the greatest energy, ready to change the world every single week. And today I have Martine Cadet with me. Hi, Martine.
Hello, Jody. Hello, everyone. So excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here, and I'm just so thrilled that we met. And you actually, it's funny because you're coming on the podcast after I interviewed someone who you connected me with. So.
I know, it's so cool. I love it.
So I'm so excited, and thank you so much for the connection is everything. Thank you for the connection to Vince Warnack. So I appreciate that. He was interviewed last year. So I'm going to read Martine, as I always do, because everybody has the greatest bios and I never want to change any of the wording. So I'm going to read your bio here. Martine Cadet is a social media content coach and creator. She helps her clients convert viewers into paying clients, never run out of things to say, and are confident in connecting with their audience by mastering the skill of storytelling on their social platforms. Martine's system helps her clients increase their social media presence for their personal brand on Instagram and Facebook organically. She's a mom of two, a wife and a sister that decided to go for her dream, yay, and design an online business that excites her every single day. Everybody needs that. That's awesome. Martine is the founder and owner of Cadet.
That's correct. You got it. Yes.
Yay. Cadet Media, LLC, a boutique digital media agency supporting small business owners brand themselves online and expand the visibility on her TV network, Visualize and Create. And you can visit visualizeandcreate.lightcast.com. And also they can find you on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll go over all of your different ways that people can connect with you in a little bit. But Martine, welcome.
So Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love your platform, Jody. I love your mission, and it's an absolute honor to be part of this whole mission that you have going on. And I look forward to supporting as many people as I possibly can with what I know.
and you know what, we're going to go backwards a little bit, and we're going to go into all the wonderful things that you know and all the people that you're helping. But You are growing and expanding. And the one thing that I think is so important as a change maker, and because that's why why the podcast is named that, is that you made a change to go after your dream. And my goal through this podcast is to let people know that you can make money doing what you love. You do not have to every day dread waking up to do and be with where you don't want to be, right?
Absolutely. Yes. I did not wake up like this yesterday, sitting at home and being able to make money, showing up online and also offline, because I am a speaker. I go out and speak at conferences and whatnot. And it all started while working a corporate job. And it was a great corporate job. And for those of you listening or watching, you are probably there, and that's okay. I'm not opposed to having a job. You have to have one, right? But I realized that a six-figure income and, moving up the corporate ladder was just not exciting to me anymore. And I questioned that feeling. I was pretty scared, Jody. I had invested a lot of money and energy in my higher education. I had spent a lot of energy making sure that I was visible in this corporate position so that I can move up the ladder. I'd done well for myself, yet I was not feeling fulfilled and happy. I was like, there's more to this. I know there is, but I don't know what it is. And so I bring this up only because I know that many of us, we get to a point like this in our journey of living this life, and we focus on the how, right? Before we really dive into the why. And I found myself doing that. I'm like, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? And by doing that, I realized that I was sabotaging myself by wondering, how am I going to do it? Because I ended up being overwhelmed. And I took a step back, and that's a cue for anyone watching and listening. I took a step back and I said, dive into the why would you want to get out of this? A six-figure income, traveling you all over the world. I've been to Shanghai many times, Hong Kong for work, and yet I wasn't fulfilled. And so I decided to dive in on the why. Why? Well, I'm a young mother of two. Why? Well, my kids are growing up, yet I feel like I'm not spending enough time with them, because by the time I come home from work, I'm exhausted. And then it's dinner, and then next thing you know, they got to go to bed, and I'm like, where are my kids, right? And I'm like, wait, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. And so that pushed me to dive into why I wanted to create a life by design, honestly. And that also pushed me to realize my money mindset and how money is energy, right? I didn't know these things. And I learned to prioritize. And long story short, and I'll end with this, as far as the story of this whole thing is, good thing I showed up, Jody, while working this day job online. And I'll tell you why. As a result of the pandemic, I lost this job. I was part of a huge layoff. And when it happened, part of me was sad because I had invested a lot of years, right? But another part of me was like, this is what you asked for. Right? What the heck? Get excited. This is the change. It's time to take control. Like, you got this. I never looked back. Never looked back.
It's so funny. So we don't know each other extremely well, and now it's so great because I learned so much from my podcast guests. And as I'm listening to you, we've been on this very similar path. So I run actually a program called When Your Why is Greater Than Your How. And so that's so funny that you're talking exactly about that. And this podcast would not have been launched if I didn't get pushed down to consultant at a statewide organization, because it wasn't even a thought. I thought about it 6 years ago and thought about how I wasn't going to be able to do it and who was going to listen and why would people be engaged. And now it's been downloaded in 25 countries. So, right. I don't think that anybody could really understand, because I remember being in that place, like you said, the how became so overwhelming that you just think that there's no way. It's one, I say at the end of every podcast, What is the small or large step you're going to take today to get yourself closer to your goal? It doesn't have to be overwhelming. So thank you for sharing what you did. It was so in line with everything that that I'm about as well. So that's awesome. Thank you. Martine, let's talk about you and where you began, right? So where you grew up and kind of like, we could see that you are a boisterous, full of energy woman who's making it happen. But were you the same as a child, or were you more on the quieter side?
It's so interesting. I love that question. And so the latter, I was, I grew up in Africa, part of my life. A second part of my life, I grew up in Haiti. I'm from the Caribbean, Haiti, the island. My parents are Haitian. My whole family's Haitian. And so I speak French and Creole fluently. I learn English. And so my mom tells me all the time, since I was a little girl, I was always I was that type A kid. Like I would come home, do my homework first. Like my mom used to worry about, did you get a snack? Like breathe, relax. I'm like, no, I got to do my homework. Like early on, that's just been in me, to always get things done, right? I was always a go-getter since I was a little girl. But as far as being outgoing and being out there and speaking to people, that I learned how to do, because I realized even before being an entrepreneur and a business owner, even in school, I realized building relationships with my teachers, building relationships with the janitor of the school, and and just having conversations is so critical in not only your self-development, because you get to hear other people's stories and you get to learn another culture. Like when you're having conversation, I knew that this was important, to be out there and open and speak to people. And so the entrepreneur side of me, the social media part of me, amplified it all, right? And this is why I speak to building a content marketing on social media that gets you visible organically. And it's honestly with the foundation of starting conversations, right? And so I was never, I wasn't like the outgoing, the loudest in the classroom, or the one at recess that everybody wanted to play with, right? In fact, the honest truth is I went to a pretty prestigious high school in Haiti, and I was not living, like the other kids in big homes and whatnot. My parents worked very hard to get me through this schooling. And so part of me was very reserved as a result of that. I had other classmates making fun of me, sharing in French and Creole that I lived in a garbage can versus them. I remember my dad's car breaking down and having to walk to school, because again, I'm a type A. I'm like, I gotta go to school. Walking to school and going through the mud because it had rained the day before. And my classmates had the big cars, they had the chauffeur, and they would drive by and I was covered with mud. And I'm like, you're going to sit next to me in class and you see me walking, you could have stopped you know what I mean? And so I share this only because, at the time it was tough. It was hard to understand, you're young and you're like, how come people are so mean, right? But today, when I look back, I'm like, this is what made me stronger. This is what gave me the tools to be able to be that change maker, and continues to, because yeah, it's been over 20 years since that's happened to me, but it's important still. And I get to share that story with my own kids to help them understand that, yes, you too, you can change the world if you want to. We all can, right? And so, I was always the type of person that believed that you have to follow through, you have to organize, you have to study hard, educate yourself. That was the young me. And I'm glad that I had that in me. And I think it's really because my father was a teacher, and he was very big in education. It was very big. He had like tons of books. He loved to read. And I truly believe the DNA is coming from him, as far as me being that sponge, I guess I call myself, like I'm always soaking in information. And yeah, so the young me always wanted to try new things, see new things, taste new things, meet new people. I was never afraid to go to the beautiful chateau, yet go to the, bad neighborhoods, and learn. Like, I adapt myself wherever I go, and I want to connect with whomever's in front of me and understand their perspective and their struggles and see how I can help.
The more you talk, the more we're so alike in that whole connection piece. Everything. I think we even mentioned it before the podcast too. Connection in everything, right? We buy the cars we buy because we feel connected to, even in inanimate objects. Everything is about connection. And so I think it's so amazing that you realize that so early on in your life, because I don't think everybody does, right? Because we're superficial sometimes as kids, and we're narcissists. I mean, that's what they say, right? Lots of kids do, but not everybody does. But the other thing is your story is so poignant because it's all these years later. And I wonder if while you're even sharing that, you still feel and remember that little girl walking in the mud. And so it's so important to realize the impact of the things that we do and the things that you're doing to other people, because that impact can stick with you how many years later, right?
For a long time. And, I have to add, that I'm comfortable now to speak about it, what I'm about to share, in it to illustrate even more what we're talking about here, Jody. It took me a while to, I have goosebumps right now just thinking about what I'm about to say. I was 16 years old when I witnessed my father get a bullet in his head. He got shot. And, I'm in my 40s now, so it's been a while, but it still feels like it was yesterday. And walking through the mud, having those kids calling the fact that I live in a garbage can, losing my father at such a young age in front of me. I think back every time I get on a stage in front of a crowd to support them with social media when I speak at events, or doing beautiful interviews like this one, to share my voice. I always think about those moments, that time when I saw the blood coming out of my dad's head and holding his head and telling him to hold on. And I was confused. I was mad. But again, this was, now I understand that the reason why I went through this, and God knows what's next, right? It had a meaning in order for me to be who I am today and becoming, right, in the future. I needed that moment to happen, and all the other moments that happened to date in my life, whether they're small wins or tragedies like this one, to shape who I am today so I can help somebody else. So all of us, like you said, all of us, we have something going on. And I don't know, I know I'm impacting someone, and that's what matters to me, to go out there. And as long as I'm able to change someone's heart, one person, then I know I did my job by sharing my story. The internet has this tendency, right, Jody, to intimidate us and make us look at ourselves and say, I'm not good enough. I'm not like Martine. I'm not like Jody. I need more work. When in fact, you are fine. What you have is fine. Listen, I learned English watching Disney Channel. Yeah, I took English classes, but I learned it because I wanted to learn it, because that was my change maker, one of the change maker decisions that I needed to make for myself in order for me to impact even more lives, is to learn English. And so don't let, whomever's listening, don't let your current circumstances be the reason why you don't want to move forward and build that dream that you have, whether you're bilingual or not, or you have a high school degree or not. You are enough. And whatever happened in the past, there's a reason for it. So embrace it, right? Embrace it. It's hard. Let's be honest. It's very hard. I'm sitting speaking to you right now every single day, Jody. When I sit at my desk, I have a picture of my father in front of me. He is right there by me, right? And so it's difficult, but it's meant to be. As crazy as it sounds, it was supposed to happen. And so it's okay, right? It's okay.
Well, number one, I thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story. I mean, thank you so much for trusting in me and in the audience and using your story for the better, and taking a horrible thing to happen and share it. And I think that that's one of the things that's so important. People who are right now going through what they feel like is the hardest time in their life feel very alone. But when they hear and can connect, it may not be the same story, right? It's not going to be the same story, but the feeling of that, whether it's some sort of a tragedy or loss or whatever it is that someone might be going through, they can hear that somebody made it through to the other side and is able to have that empowerment and help others. So we can take tragedy and use it as a strength, as a super. I feel like it could be a superpower because it launches you to do incredible things. I launched a foundation, with my sister and our dad's name that now is statewide. Again, the loss of someone who passed at a young age, and within 6 months. So our tragedies are different, but I know the pain of the loss is the same and similar. But I do want to ask you this, and I hope you don't mind me asking, is that where were you living at the time when that happened?
It happened in Haiti. I was we were in our home. In Haiti, unfortunately, it's such a beautiful country, but it's gotten its share of turmoils. And at the time, political wise, the country has been very unstable. And so it was 3 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, it happened twice. The first time my dad wasn't home. The second time he was home, and that's when it happened. And we got, attacked, and basically by, and there's no justice, obviously. I don't even know who it was. So it happened in Haiti in our home.
I just want to say that I am so glad that you made it through that, and you did so that you can be here to share your beauty and your energy with the rest of us. And that's the gift that you've given to us. So I always say I have to bring tissues to this podcast, which I never ever do. So anyway, thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And you know what? So I want to talk about your light. And I also want to ask you, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be a chef, and yeah, and so I wanted to go to Johnson and Wales University to become a chef. I always loved food, and because I grew up in Africa, we used to travel every summer. We would go. The route would be Africa to France, and in France we would go to Paris and southern France, and then we would make our way to the States to visit family, then down to Haiti, and then back to Africa. And so I was exposed to the cultures, the different, the food and whatnot. So that always fascinated me. So I wanted to be a chef. And so I ended up not going to Johnson and Wales University. I ended up going to St. John's University and got a degree in hospitality management. Because then I figured, oh, okay, what I really love is traveling the world and being exposed to different countries and cultures. And I'm like, hospitality, working at a great hotel, 5-star, whatever. That was my vision. And so I went for it. And I ended up working at a hotel for a little bit of a time. But life happens, right? And I'm always the type of person that doesn't question when things develops in front of me too much. I kind of like to really see the good in everything. So when I realized that I had the opportunity to start my career in the retail world, in corporate, I was like, okay, why not? It's not a hotel, but let's try it out. And good thing I did, Jody, because I invested in this career in retail as a product manager, I ended up traveling the world. So I didn't cook, I wasn't out at a hotel, but I was in Shanghai, I was in India and Vietnam and Paris and London every other 3 months, right? Traveling 5-star, first class and staying at beautiful hotels. So I wanted to be a chef, but I'll be honest, I love my air fryer now. So,
so that's takes the fun out of the chef piece. And when you decide you want to cook, you can and make your beautiful creations. But you see, that's the thing, is what people don't always realize is that our lives are not straight lines.
No.
We zigzag, and we're brought to different places for a reason. We may not know at the time, and it may seem very discouraging, but all of a sudden you look back and go, now I get it.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And and so many things have opened up for me because I accepted. And to your point, when those things happen, when that zigzag happened, you're like, well, that's not what I had planned. Don't be mad. Honestly, don't, because the things that I do today, Jody, I look back and I'm like, oh, I get it now. I'm able to do this. Thank God, because 6-7 years ago, I was exposed to this. If I wasn't exposed to this, I don't think I'd be able to do whatever it is that I'm doing right now. So absolutely agree with you 150%. Yes.
And the other thing I will mention is because my journey was like yours, not a straight line. And I never thought I would be doing any of the things I'm doing, to be quite honest with you. And so the thing about it is if you watch for the signs and you're present and you listen, it's incredible what happens. But if you shut down because you're miserable or you're upset or you're depressed and you shut down totally, that's when you don't, and you miss it. So it's so important to pay. And the lesson will keep coming around until you learn it. That's the other thing.
It's true. It's true. Because, I believe there's a higher power, like whether you are, you believe in God, you believe whatever you believe in. I truly am of the space of there's something bigger than us, right? And that something bigger, whatever it is that you believe in, knows your pathway, knows where you're headed. But to your point, you have to obey. You have to pay attention. Don't get upset because your checking account yet again got overdrawn, right? It's that whole mindset work, right, Jody? And as things come your way, because life isn't easy. If it was easy, right? I mean, come on. I know that Instagram makes it look like she's great or he's great, but come on, let's be honest. We're human, and we got things going on. And we have emotions and we have situations. And so it all comes down to the mindset and making sure that that muscle up here in your brain is constantly being taken care of, that mental health, and making sure that you're not taking the situation of your checking account being overdrawn to kill you, but instead to make you aware that it's time for a change. It's time for a change because the action has to be taken. Right? It doesn't have to be a big deal, whatever it is that you got to, but you got to take action one step at a time.
It's so well put. So true. And it is one step at a time. When we look at the big scheme of things, it gets too overwhelming. You have to chop it up into bite-sized pieces. So you went from hospitality to product development, right? Right. So you did that. So what led you to now helping people brand themselves, social media, getting themselves heard through other avenues so that people can be successful in their own businesses? How did you get there?
I love that. It was through a major frustration showing up on social media, period, to sell my jewelry line. So I launched and mind you, I come from a space where I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I always wanted to have my first business. I was 13 in Haiti. And my friend and I, we were making Rice Krispies treats and selling them to our schools until we got in trouble for it because we were making money. So I always wanted to have my own business. I dived into the MLM world and I was a pampered chef, Maluka, and all of those are great. It works for some people, but it didn't work for me. But when I had that moment, as we talked about at the top of the conversation, where I was like, okay, corporate's great. I've ramp up the ladder, what's next moment, and what is my big why moment. I was like, I love thrift shopping. I love DIY stuff. Let me just enjoy showing what I can do with a piece of $3 whatever can I found at the thrift shop, and take pictures of it with my phone and blog about it. And so I started a blog, and I did not know the power of the internet back then, Jody. I did not know how powerful it was to just show up with great content, helping other people do something. And I was like, wait a second, why am I getting a lot of traffic on this one blog post that I created about a piece of, I bought it at IKEA. It was for the kitchen, and I used it in my bathroom, like as a shelving system. Right. And I blogged about it. I'm like, why are people reading this so much? Come to find out, BuzzFeed had found my blog. And that's the beauty of the World Wide Web, right? They found my blog, they pulled it, BuzzFeed that is, and they made it as part of a roundup blog that they had on their website in regards to, I think it was called 11 IKEA hacks, and I was number 9 or something like that. And that's when I was like, wait a second, talk about being present, like you shared, Jody. I was like, whoa, hold on, let me dive in a little bit more. So what ended up happening to me, Jody, I dived in and I started researching what the internet was. What was social media? Listen, I didn't go to college or got any training when it comes to marketing. All I knew is that I have a mouth, I have a story, I have skills, I have things that I'm passionate about, and that's all I knew. And so I kept showing up. I launched my jewelry line that I was making out of t-shirt yarn, and I was posting on Facebook and showing how to wear the jewelry. And I'm sharing this because we tend to complicate our content marketing so much, when it's really just being as simple as you possibly can, right? And so fast forward to 2-3 years into doing that, showing up on Instagram, posting organically my content, Facebook found me. And Facebook sends me an email, and I'm thinking I'm in trouble. I'm like, oh God, right? What I do to you? And they're like, no. We actually are reaching out because we want you to explore applying to speak at our Facebook Boost Your Business event that's happening in your local town. And I'm like, wait, I have 200 followers on Instagram, hardly anyone liking my post on Facebook. And I'm sharing this for a reason for you listening and watching, because again, we look at social media and we're like, I don't got enough followers, I'm not relevant. When in fact, the reality is your audience is consuming your content. They may not put a thumbs up or a heart, they're seeing it. Facebook saw mine, they didn't comment. Anyway, so I went on and applied. And I was like, whatever, submit. Don't think about it, Martine. Go to work. I'll start my job. 2 weeks later, got an email back saying, we would love to talk to you more. We think you'd be a great fit. I ended up being one of the 4 speakers at the event. And it's from that moment, again, being present, because I could have been like, this is great for the gram, Instagram, look at me. I spoke at Facebook and call it a day, but I didn't. I said, wait, there's more. First of all, being on that stage in front of 150 people felt so good. What is that, right? Second of all, I was able to help these people because after I spoke, so many people came after to talk to me and say, but what about this? How do I post this? How do I do that? And I was genuinely sharing with them the things that I had done for myself. I'm like, that was pretty cool. And so that's when I made the decision to launch Cadet Media Boutique, Jody. And I said, I'm on a mission to helping as many people as I possibly can with their content marketing to make sure that there's a strategy behind it, just like I did, and to have a consistent framework so that they can attract as many people as they can, impact as many lives as they can with a simple way to do it. And it doesn't have to be complicated, because I know I had my share of what the heck do I post today? You know?
Oh, yeah.
So it's through that frustration of how do I help people? How do I help myself gain visibility organically? Because listen, we get clients three ways: organically, we buy them through promotions, ads, or we get referred, right? So I was like, you know what? I don't got no money to give the books, but I could show up organically and convert. And that's what I've done. And that's what I help others do now. And that's why I started, really, truly, because of this Facebook discovery thing that's happened. And I was like, what the heck? And BuzzFeed. I was like, okay, there's something.
Wow. Your world changed. I love that story so much. It changed your life. I mean, just those things. I mean, it took you on a whole, and it was the God, universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever that power, whatever, it guided you, because that email came. It wasn't like you were fighting for it. It happened to you, which is incredible. You just started putting things out there. And that's the thing. If you just put the things out there and it's meant to be, somehow it latches on, which is
absolutely 100%.
So how do people find you? Before we go any further, I want people to know how to find you.
Oh, great. Well, the easiest thing to do is to go on my website. It's my name, martinecadet.com. Once you land there, you'll have the opportunity to message me. I love speaking to anyone. Like I do the automation thing, but not as much. So when you land on my website, you'll have the opportunity to connect with me on Facebook, on Instagram. I invite you to DM me. I invite you to message me on Facebook or even on LinkedIn. Don't be afraid. I love that personal touch. That's what my brand is all about. And so go on my website, martinecadet.com, and that's how you can find me.
So who is your ideal client, would you say?
I love the men or women, right? I particularly have a lot of women attracted to me only because I guess, they can relate, but I do serve men as well. So I say men or women that are two types of people I love to help. The ones that are, I don't know if I could do this, skeptical, right? The ones that are, but I know how to crochet and I know how to do this, but I'm a stylist. I know I'm always styling my mom and my sisters and my cousins, but I don't know, is this a thing with people, like the doubting ones that want to start but have this issue in getting started online? So I help a lot of people like that, and I love helping them. And then the second type of person that I help a lot are the ones that's tried everything and they're like, screw this sucks, right? They have the beautiful photo shoots that they've done. They have the coaching program that they believe is amazing, but yet they're getting nowhere with their marketing. They're not converting, and they need support in, doing a facelift with their content marketing and really truly wanting a good strategy that actually works. And so those are the two people I love working with. The ones that are like, what? I don't know. And then the ones that have tried it, but they're like, I'm stuck. I need help. This is not working for me.
That's great. That's great. So I want to see if you can give us at least one tip or tool right now. So I want to ask you a question on this. So when it comes to social media, I'm very wordy, and wordy obviously does not really work on social media that much, right? My problem is I like to tell a story, but we all know the attention span of someone who's scrolling is not very long. Do you have any advice or suggestions for those in the audience that might be listening? Like what is the best way to post something? How many words, or is there something special that we should all be doing that maybe we're missing the mark on? Some sort of a tip on that.
Yes, I love it. It's a very important point that you just brought up, the caption part. Now, I believe, and I love that you're saying, I love to share stories, and I'm going to tell you to continue to do that. What's missing is adding more of a framework, and it's actually part of the book, my very first little Cliff Note book that I'm launching called Content to Conversion, where I break down the whole caption thing. Remember, I'm bilingual, and I had a mentor for digital marketing, and he shared with me, and I was like, are you kidding me? He's like, listen, Martine, you do great graphics, you take great photos, but your captions need to be on point. I'm like, but I'm not a copywriter. I speak French and Creole. He's like, Well, if you are online marketing, your caption are very important. As you know, Jody, anyone watching, listening, SEOs, words, like that's important. So I want to answer two parts of this.
Okay.
One, you mentioned, I don't know, people have short attention span. Like, is there a count of words that I should follow, short captions? My answer to that is you write as much as you believe you need to write in order to invite that conversation. Because here's the thing, when people want to engage with you and you want engagement back, social media is social. And so a hi emoji, I was on stage at Facebook, that's it type of caption is not really going to invite conversation. But to your point, Jody, if you bring in the story, hey, I was on Facebook with Facebook on stage. I was able to speak to 150 people. Never in my life would I have ever imagined doing this. We spoke about this, and that, and you break it down, then you're inviting for that conversation. Now, the second part, so short, long, at the end of the day, it's about sharing your story. The second part is giving that story, that caption, a structure so that we can stop the scroll. To your point, because people have short attention span and we're thinking, who the hell has time to read a whole essay on the Like, who has time to type an essay? And I used to think that too. But once you're invested in a specific brand or a specific personal brand that you're watching, an influencer, you are going to find yourself reading their caption. And so with that, the structure, and I talk about it in the book, and I didn't make it up. Every big marketers use this, and I had to use it once I dived in to figure out how to speak to my audience and get them to start talking to me. It's a very simple framework, starting off with a big headline. Because remember, on social media, at least right now, you see a couple of words, then you have to click read more to see the rest. Unlike when Instagram first launched, you could have seen the whole caption, then they changed that, right, to just seeing a couple of sentences. And so, which means that for us creators, we want to give a nice headline. Think about walking down the streets and seeing the newsstand and you see that big title, right? You grab it, you grab that magazine, you're like, what? Kim Kardashian did this? No way. Let me, right? So, but you don't want it to be a clickbait. You want it to be in relationship to whatever picture or video you're sharing, right? Great headline. And then the framework is diving in. And I usually tell my clients, and I'm going to share the tip with you guys, is break it down so that first you say, I feel you. So you have the big headline. I spoke at Facebook. It was crazy. And then you go back. I feel you. I know you're probably thinking, how the hell am I going to do this for myself? Second part is, I felt it too. Girl, I was nervous. I know how, right? I felt it too. But guess what I found? Right? That's the last part. I found that once you're authentic, you're yourself, and you show up and you share what you know, this is what happened. And then you close with a call to action. If this resonates with you, listen up. I'm doing a challenge where I'm going to break down blah, 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 whatever offer you have. So again, headline, I feel you, I felt it too, but I found this. Take action now. And you'll find that's going to be, you know, a pretty well thought kind of caption. It's not going to be tiny, short 3 sentences, but it's going to be a story. It's going to give you the opportunity to share your story because you're going to say, I found this, I felt it too, right? And that gives your content some vulnerability, some human touch that we also crave. Yeah, right? And it sets you apart because you're telling your story. So I'm going to end with this on Instagram. I believe the character count is 2,200. There's a reason why they're giving us 2,200 characters, right? Might as well use it. It's free. Break it down. Because when you do, again, you're inviting that conversation to happen. So structure it and you'll be fine.
Great. That is a whole story and that makes perfect sense. And thank you. That is awesome. That free tidbit with everybody. We appreciate it. And that really shows that you're connecting, again, back to that word. It's all about that connection. You know, you're sparking interest, talking about your feelings, and then you're asking people to join you. And that's the beauty, right? So there you go, the flow. You're on the wave with the person. And I love that. That's great. Thank you so much. You mentioned something before about mentor. Is there one or two people that stand out that you want to share that have mentored you?
Yeah, one of them definitely my very first manager in corporate. She knows that, she was definitely the one that that changed my perspective in regards to working. And she's the one that's gotten me to promotion after promotion after promotion, and really helped me discover skills and things that I didn't know I had. So I still continue to talk to her. In fact, when I was let go from this job, she had left already. She called me and she's like, I know you got this. So she's always there. Every now and then we talk. And then I ended up investing in mentors. So the mentor that I mentioned while I was breaking down the caption thing, I intentionally invested my time and energy to get a mentor. It was a platform, and I think they're still up, where you can sign up to be a student, and in exchange, you will do the digital work for whomever ends up hiring you, and it's unpaid. It's like an internship. You'll get mentorship from them, and it's a contract of 3 months. And so I had him helping me, and it was a big deal for my development. Today, actively, I have to tell you, my best mentor is my mother. She keeps me grounded. Every time I have a stepping stone or a setback in what I do with my business, or even as a mother or a wife or whatever happens in life, she always finds a way to help me like recenter. And I'm in my 40s and she's still, educating me. I always feel like this little girl with her, and she's definitely my mentor, and she's so proud of me, and she understands every single details of what I've been able to do or what I want to do. And so she's my buddy. That's the person that I have to say every day. I call her. We talk every day, actually.
That's amazing. And it's, that's the one thing I always say on the podcast is mentorship. No matter how old you are, you're never too old to get a mentor. And whether it's a family member or you search them out, that's what I did. I sat in audiences of incredible human beings and went up to them afterwards and asked them if they would meet me for lunch, and they have. And then I've gotten mentors from that, and it's incredible. NJBIA, Michelle Sakurka has been, the CEO in there since 2005. She's amazing and incredible. And so you look to people who you can learn from, and you hope you can give them back something too by the relationship. No relationship is one-sided, right? We don't want to ask and give nothing back. So, my hope is always to make it reciprocal. But that's beautiful that it's your mom, and I think that's so awesome. You did mention the book. You said the book was coming out. It's not out yet?
It's coming out. It should be, well, depending on when we're streaming this, it's coming out January of 2022, and it's called Content to Conversion. And it's a version of the talks that I've done over time, right? In regards to building a great content and I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so that anyone that's looking to ramp up their social media or take inventory to what they've done in the past can implement. It's definitely an implementation, take action type of book, right? So yeah, it's called Content to Conversion. Consider it as a mini cliff note for your social media. And it's the first of many to come, Jody. I'm going to write those books. I've been wanting to do this. And like we said, throughout this whole conversation, one step at a time, stay present. And when it's ready for you, it'll be ready for you. And so
100%. That's awesome. That's
yes.
awesome. How do you know how we'll be able to find the book? Because I'm gonna need a bigger bookshelf, because I want to have all of my authors who are change makers behind me, so that your books are consistently being marketed subliminally, for those who watch via the YouTube channel. So where could we get the book?
I'm gonna have it up on Amazon to start. So it's gonna be there, definitely there for you to find.
Awesome. So we'll have it on the bookshelf very soon then. That's wonderful. Listen, Martine, I could talk to you forever. I hope that you will absolutely come back. But I want to ask you the last question that I'm asking everybody in 2022. And I know you and I just also talked about you being part of the Changemakers Forum for 2023. And I'm just so excited that we've met and now can get to know each other better. What is the legacy? And I feel like you're going to leave so much on this earth here, but what is the legacy you want to leave behind, or what do you hope to be known?
I want to be known. What a beautiful question, I have to say. I want to be known, I'm closing my eyes because listen, I'm a mother. I have a daughter. She's going to college. My son is 10. And I want the girl that's in Haiti that doesn't know what a computer is or even has the opportunity to find her skills and her God-given gifts, to know that she has the opportunity to do that as long as she takes action, and that she's not afraid to speak out. And I did say the girl in Haiti, but the girl anywhere in the world. My biggest dream before I go is to have an organization helping young girls that are not able to have the opportunity to get out there, because we're all so beautiful, right? And I have goosebumps, and I try my best as a mother to give my own daughter as much as she possibly can to know that she can be a change maker. And everything happens for a reason, hence why I'm so excited to be part of your mission, because I want to change the lives of as many young girls as I possibly can. That's my ultimate legacy that I want to leave, that they know that Martine gave me the tools, or gave me, the path to let me have that confidence to dive into who I really am and not have to stick to the norm of what other people are saying that I'm supposed to be doing. I know I'm bigger than that. So I want to be part of that. I want to leave that behind for sure.
What an absolutely beautiful, beautiful message. And you're doing that. You're doing that by sharing your story and being vulnerable. You're doing that every time you do that, because that mom who may be listening, maybe it's not the little girl, but now that mom is going to take your story, because I know I will. We're going to share it with the younger generation. And then they're going to have that story to share with their friends. And so at that, it's one person at a time. And like I said with the podcast, if only one person listens and they get it and they feel something and it helps to change their life in some way, that's all I could ask for.
I agree. I love it.
Yeah, you're doing wonderful things, my friend.
Thank you. Same here, Jody. And I'm really honored to participate in your mission, and I appreciate you creating this beautiful platform to give us the opportunity to share our voices and our stories. And I look forward to connecting with your network, and definitely having my network get to know what you're working on, and one step at a time. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you.
Oh, I enjoyed it too. And thank you for sharing your heart and your vulnerability and your beautiful story. And again, tell everybody where they can find you.
Yes, absolutely. Visit my website, martinecadet.com, which is my name. And from there, scroll through, tag me on Instagram, send me a DM. I'm very active on social media, or even shoot me an email.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Martine Cadet, for just being a beautiful human and a change maker. We'll get that book behind us soon.
Yes.
Yay. And I can't wait to read it myself. So thank you. And I'm going to say what I say at the end of every single podcast. Today is the day. You cannot go back to yesterday, and you do not yet own tomorrow. So what small or large step are you going to take today to get yourself closer to your goal? Thank you again to the wonderful and amazing Martine Cadet. Please go follow her. Go to martinecadet.com, and everybody have a great day. Have a great week. Bye.